Hello. Hi there. Really late stream. I think this stream is like extra duper late. Sorry I didn't stream sooner. I wasn't really feeling too great. I felt like I streamed on Tuesday because I'm just like we kind of have to, you know. But I after those days, man, I was not in good shape. I was still like recovering. I still kind of needed like a little bit of more time. I spent a lot of it either sleeping or just sitting in my room and playing video games. I did use that time somewhat productively. I beat Expedition 33. For those who are just like, "Oh my god, you gotta you gotta play the fucking game." Like, okay, fine, and I beat Expedition 33. So now I can somewhat talk about it. I'm not like fully done, not 100%. Um, as for the chapter, whew, man, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. I recognize not everybody is here in chat, so I'll give them some time until they get here. Let's see. Bulver is here. Hello, Bulver. Leave it to mute, man. No offense, but they're so completely wrong once they again on the analysis. I don't think they're completely wrong on everything. There are so what mute does that I really like that I think is kind of important. The narrative mute wrote us, the narrative Mute wrote in his analysis is exactly the narrative Reiji wants you to kind of have going into this. For a fact, I know for a fact this is the narrative Reiji wants you to have going into this. Oh my god, Umi wants to date Chizuru, and Ruka wants to date Kazuya. They're gonna team up, bro. They're totally gonna team up, bro. Reiji wants you to believe this. This is literally the narrative as he's presenting it. He wants you to believe this. So naturally, the analysis that I read from you, because I had some time, so I'm like I might as well just fucking read it. So I read it on my own, and when I read it, I'm like, yes, I disagree with him. I do think he makes some leaps in judgment here and there, but the ideas that he was writing down, I'm like, yeah, Reiji definitely wants you to believe this idea. And this is what I mean by my thumbnail when I say this is a false narrative. This is a false narrative. You are being essentially fed a false narrative. And no, I'm not just saying this because I played Expedition 33. I'm saying this because I've been saying this entire fucking time before I ever played that goddamn game. That game just happens to fucking fit my narrative really well, ironically enough. No, I've been saying this for a while. We've literally been fed a false narrative this entire fucking time. And literally you started getting those signs as early as the rejection and the date, right? Everybody was thinking the date's going great, everything's fantastic, and then boom, rejection. And then afterwards, you start realizing everything Minnie is saying is fucking bullshit. And then now, in this very chapter, you have this thing where you're getting Ruka's POV, and how Ruka is perceiving and understanding the events around her, and it's clearly wrong. It's very clearly wrong, right? It's so adamantly wrong how she's perceiving the world and the narrative around her. And I think that's the point of this cover page, as well as this image right here with Ruka, right? So this entire structural intro is presented to you in a very particular way. You're presented this idea at the very start with Ruka where you see her front, right? You see her front. This is almost like the beginning of her journey, if you will. And this is super fitting because it's called The First Time, and it's literally the first chapter of this year. This is the first chapter of this year, and this is almost like the start of Ruka's journey, and we finally get to kind of hear her thoughts, right? After everything that transpired, we finally get to hear Ruka's thoughts. And how does it end, right? How does this entire sequence end? This sequence ends with Ruka speaking out loud. Right, so the sequence starts, the very beginning of this chapter starts with us hearing Ruka's thoughts, and then it ends with her screaming her thoughts outward. But what's fascinating about this is that this person is getting her thoughts completely out of context. Isn't that fascinating? We are hearing Ruka's thoughts in some ways kind of out of context. And now like this person in some ways he sees this perspective completely out of context, right? He's seeing literally the other side of Ruka and he doesn't know what the hell he's looking at. This dude is completely Like, what the fuck did I just look at? And so this is one thing I agreed with in what Mute said about the. So in Mute's analysis, there's a part where he says that this guy, the bystander, is almost essential to this entire narrative. I disagree in how Mute says he's essential. I do agree that he is essential. Just not how you think. It's the idea of perspective. This dude has a completely different perspective than we do. This is the perspective that we have at the very beginning of the chapter. We got to hear all of her thoughts. We got to hear what was going on through Ruka's thoughts. This dude, all he got to hear was, sheesh, what am I supposed to do? And the guy's like, wait, what? This is not the reaction I was expecting. He's completely out of the loop. And in some ways, you are too, and you don't even realize it. Basic and a huge part of that roots itself in how Ruka is misinterpreting the narrative, and how what she's saying here almost doesn't add up. And that's because what Ruka is doing is in some ways kind of spiraling, where what she wants isn't necessarily accurate to the reality that she has. In some ways, it's the spiral of grief, right? Grief makes you spiral a little bit. You kind of fall apart. This is Ruka trying to cope with the idea that she's already lost Kazuya and she can't let go. And she doesn't know how. She has absolutely no idea how to fucking let go. And this is literally kind of like grief, and that's the whole idea, is because every single character right now in some way, shape, or form is going through grief. Kazuya is going through grief, Ruka's going through grief, Chizuru's going through grief, Mami's going through grief. Did I miss anybody? I guess we could Sumi kind of. But yeah, it's clear every character in the story in some way, shape, or form is going. What is that sound? Sorry, I kept hearing this like pop, 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 pop. It's like a popping sound, and it was my soundboard. I just unplugged the microphone and replugged it back in. It's all gone now. Okay, great. So every character is in some way, shape, or form going through grief. And grief blinds you. Umi's also going through grief too. Is he, though? Right? If Umi is going through grief, we don't know. We don't know what kind of grief. Look, the biggest thing about Umi's character is ultimately you don't know what the fuck is going through his head. You think you do. Reiji does a fundamental thing here. Reiji does a very fundamental thing here. He lets you hear Ruka's thoughts. Not once, not a single fucking time do you get to hear Umi's thoughts. This is a huge leveraging point of this chapter and the difference between Umi and Ruka. You got to hear Ruka's thoughts. You have absolutely no idea what is going through Umi's head. Every single thing you're saying is pure assumption. You don't know. You do not know. Period. We don't know. You think you do. A lot of people will come into the comment section and they will tell me they think they know. This is what Umi's doing. This is that. This is this. You don't know. Period. You have absolutely no idea what's going through Umi's head. You have not been presented the full picture of his character, merely what you think you see. What Reiji is doing with Umi, and what he's doing with Ruka as his contrast, is brilliant. Umi is purely perspective. You are purely seeing him from your own perspective and how he appears to you, right? You have no context for Umi's character. In contrast, you are being given context for Ruka, but context you might not fully understand. Just as this person right here doesn't understand. Because if you don't understand Ruka's character and pay very careful attention to her, you can do a few different things. One, there's the Ruka fans. So what they'll do is Ruka's cute regardless. Right? There's like the diehard extra duper fans. What they'll do is Ruka is cute regardless. She's just cute, right? They'll read what Ruka said here and just think she's cute. That's it. She's just a very cute character. Nothing else matters. Everything else, nope, she's just a cute character. You need to disassociate from reality, dude. Don't think about it too much. They're just fictional characters. Don't think about it too much. They'll say something like that. Then there'll be the Ruka haters. So what they'll do is they'll just be like, "Oh my God, Ruka is the worst thing ever. She's terrible. You can't reason with her." Even Kurokana, who has been analyzing this manga for a very long time, and I somewhat agree with some of the things that he says. Not everything, mind you. Even he says Ruka is this like unreasonable character that you cannot fucking reason with her. And Reiji is leveraging this. He's using this because if you don't understand kids, if you don't understand how to talk to someone like Ruka, Ruka will sound like a crazy kid to you. Ruka will sound like this person you cannot talk to or reason to. And if you look at it from just Kazuya's POV, Ruka does seem quite unreasonable. In reality, she's not. I've explained this in the past chapter. When we talked about the previous chapter, it's very clear Kazuya doesn't know how to communicate to her, which is a huge factor in why Ruka doesn't really like what he says, because what he's saying to her is essentially just conform. And that's everything her parents have told her to do for the longest fucking time. So Ruka does not like this. A huge factor of Ruka's character is that ever since she was a kid, she's been met with rejection. People, I saw this too. I saw some Japanese fans saying this too when I was scrolling through Twitter. They said something along the lines that, okay, Chizuru's choices are understandable because of her backstory, because of her upbringing, right? She has like two different upbringings. She had her grandparents who were like a good influence on her and like helped her understand love. And then you had her parents who seemingly went through a divorce and had this like entire shitty thing going on. So you can see why Chizuru somewhat struggles with like relationships a little bit. In contrast, they're like, okay, and you can like look at mommy and you can kind of totally understand why mommy just kind of like has this like doubt towards love. But Ruka doesn't make sense. Ruka doesn't have an excuse. You know, her whole motivation is just her heart. What you don't understand, which is the thing that I've recently come to realize, is the heart thing for Ruka is rather a disguise for the real issue. It's not, the heart thing is not the real issue. It's rather more of like an analogy. And I think the biggest thing I can tell you about this analogy is this number right here. So Ruka gets a 97, and she wonders to herself if she'll ever reach number 100. Her reaching 100 isn't about like what you think it means. Rather, it's Ruka becoming like 100% in a relationship, if you will. And interestingly, if we go back to chapter 402, Reiji references the little manga he drew for the special Ruka event. And I'll show it to you, or I think it's 401, my bad, 401, let's go to that really quick. So Reiji references the spin-off manga he did for Ruka, when we cut to Ruka here, and this is the setup before this entire thing starts. And there's a very particular piece of information, right? So where there it is, there's Ruka's phone, right? There's Ruka's phone, and this is the thing that's directly being referenced here. And again, what is the first thing that we see in how this event starts? Ruka doesn't have her ribbon. The event literally starts with Ruka not having her ribbon. Her identifying feature is gone from the moment this arc starts. And that isn't to tell you, oh, Ruka is becoming an adult. This is the illusion of that. Ruka is not an adult. She's a stupid kid, but in particular, a stupid kid who's losing her identity, who doesn't know who she is, and she's falling apart. This entire idea of losing your identity is a massive factor in everything that we've been presented, and this is literally how this entire narrative started, right? Before we even got to chapter 400, literally chapter 399, what is chapter 399? Kazuya gets this crazy fucking haircut, and he looks like a completely different person. He's a completely different person. He gets home, and what do you see? He looks in the mirror and he says, "Who are you?" Okay, what did Kazuya say in this current chapter? Ruka shows up without her ribbon to work, and Kazuya literally says it's like she's a completely different person. And I think there's an underlying meaning to that. I think there's an underlying meaning to this idea of Ruka being a completely different person. It's more than just she appears different. It's more so how Kazuya is like perceiving her now as a byproduct of her actions has made her literally appear physically different to him. But before we continue with that idea, well, this is the thing I wanted to talk about, this idea of literally losing your identity. In contrast, there's this element of almost completion, right? You have this, okay, so Ruka has this number 97 right here. Right. So on one hand, the characters are losing their identities. On the other hand, they're almost trying to reach a sense of completion, right? They're full. They're completed. That element is portrayed in different ways for different characters. For Kazuya, his element of completion is him dating Chizuru, right? He thinks if he dates Chizuru, he'll finally like complete himself. He'll be complete in some way. In contrast, Ruka's completion is numbers. In particular, there's a reason you see number 97 here. Because in the Ruka manga that Reiji drew for the special event, something incredibly similar happens. This is almost like an Easter egg for you if you were actually kind of paying attention. And let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Okay. In the Ruka manga, a few things happen, right? A few things happen. One, Ruka offers to kiss Kazuya. What can we kiss? And Kazuya gets a flashback to a very particular thing, right? When Ruka forcefully kissed him on his birthday. Now, this is really important. He gets a flashback specifically to when Ruka forcefully kissed him on his birthday, not to when Ruka kissed him in Hawaiians. This is intentional because when is this meetup happening? This is happening specifically 2 days after Kazuya's birthday, because it's Kazuya's birthday. So he was all like, if you got to read this spin-off manga, he was already foreshadowing that for you. And that's mostly for Japanese fans. Like, you English readers probably had no fucking idea, you know. But he was already foreshadowing this stuff for you. As we continue, there's a part. Oh wait, I was going backward. My bad. As we continue, there's a part where Ruka wants Kazuya to win her a prize by doing this punching game, and you win the prize by getting the number 100. And I want you to pay very close attention to what happens. Right? Ruka hits it, and she just gets 7. She just like lightly taps it. We're on 407 right now. Next chapter, if it continues with the first time thing, it would be part 7. Kazuya keeps hitting it. He gets 94, 98, 99, 97, 98, 99, and he never, ever gets the number 100. Completion never truly happens. Because Ruka will never actually hit the number 100 with Kazuya. That's never going to happen. Because that number is a falsity. It is a false narrative. She thinks if she hits number 100, just like when you listen to an AI and it tells you if you do this particular thing, you'll get the thing that you want, Ruka is under a false impression that if she hits 100, something is going to change. But nothing is going to change. Her heart is just going to beat a whole bunch. And that's the thing. She needs this thing to tell her what she's feeling. She doesn't even know for a fact what she herself is feeling. It's just a heartbeat monitor. That's it. It's literally just a heartbeat monitor. It could even be wrong. right? The heartbeat monitor could even be wrong, and she doesn't know, but she listens to it. So Ruka's false narrative is literally meant to mirror Kazuya's false narrative. She's also stuck under a false narrative. And this is a huge factor here in this particular shot where she says Kazuya-kun was so cute, right? This line is really important. And I think few people realize why this line is important. In 402, the first chapter of this arc, right? This is the first chapter of this arc. Ruka comes up to Kazuya. She looks at him. And she pets him and she says, "You're so cute." And Kazuya is like, "My hair?" And she's like, "I know you sent me pics, but it was my first time seeing it in person." This scene in particular is meant to be really important for a very particular reason. What does Ruka do right after? Right after this scene, what does Ruka do? She goes and pets Kazuya's fish through a glass, as if she's merely just observing him, not actually really interacting with him. It's almost like he's a pet. It's almost like he's a cute pet. She doesn't actually fully see him. Reishi just announced 15 million copies sold. Well, shit. Okay, let me go to Twitter real quick. There's my goat. Is there a new... Oh my god, there's a new art piece? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Damn. So what are we at now? 15 million copies sold. We were at like 13 million copies before. Let's see what he wrote. We received a report from our representatives, and we are pleased to announce that Rent a Girlfriend has now surpassed 15 million copies. This is all thanks to everyone who supports this work. We look forward to your continued support. Hell yeah. And we get new art, new Chizuru art. Hell yeah. My goat. I love this, man. This is a good day. Interesting timing. Right? We're like literally in the middle of streaming and this happens. Like, I like want to say more, but what is there to say more? It's just, yep. 15 million copies sold, baby. Nice. I lost track of my thoughts now. I'll quote retweet it too. Hell yeah. Wait. Hold on. I may have something just for this occasion. I made this so long ago. I made that so long ago, but we'll share it. We'll do it anyway. Does this include just JP copies? I have no clue. Probably. It could be like worldwide sales. It could just be Japanese copies. I have absolutely no clue. Regardless, it is an impressive number. I miss my girl. I miss Chizuru. My goat. I miss her. I miss my goat. I'm like stuck on this picture. I love how every time something like this happens, Reishi draws her in like a red dress. It's kind of cool. Like every time we get some sort of big number, he draws her in a red dress. I think this is a reference to that like one red dress design he did for her, which was banger. Super good. I don't remember the exact design for it, but it's definitely a reference to that one red dress he gave her. And she has the rental braid because, you know, fitting. Of course she has the rental. Oh my god, it still has the edit image thing. Ugh. Gross. Wait, was there something else Reggie shared? Oh. Okay, then. He put like a little shine on it at the very. I love that little part. Look at this very end part. He just does like a little shine. It's so funny. Just the tiny shine in the very end. Oh. 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 I made a terrible mistake. I'm sorry. You guys were not supposed to see that. That's from his subscription. You guys were not supposed to see that. No. I didn't pay careful attention. I'm a fool. Oh, you guys are not supposed to see that. Oh, mistakes were made. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I fucked up. I fucked up. You were not supposed to see that. Shit. I'm sorry. Shit. You were not supposed to see. Okay, think of this as advertisement. Go support Reiji on his Twitter thingamajig. Yeah. Think of this as that's all I was doing was advertising. I'm sorry. I fucking goofed, dude. Oh, what a goof. Leaking shit. Hey, it was an honest mistake. It was an honest mistake. Oops. Oops. Jeez. That is cool, dude. That is cool. So let's see. What's up, Johan? Hello, Shadow Warrior. Ruka will become enchanted by Umi's beauty and trigger her device to 100 BPM. This sounds kind of dumb. That sounds kind of dumb. Oh, he's super hot. Oh, he's super hot. Granted, like, childish theory, Ruka is kind of childish, but I don't think so. It just sounds weird. That just sounds goofy as fuck. Like, just a whole lot of what? What? No, I don't think so. No. The reason I think that just doesn't work narratively is that, as I was just explaining 2 seconds ago, the 100 is the idea of false completion. And so it's meant to specifically correlate to Kazuya and not anybody else. If that does happen, I could see Reiji making it work somehow, but I just don't see it happening because of this idea of false completion. And in particular, this idea that the characters are not getting what they want. They're literally not. Kazuya is not dating Chizuru. Ruka is not getting 100. Ruka is not getting sex. None of these things are actually literally happening. And they're not happening in the ways that they imagined. So Kazuya didn't have his first time, but the experience he imagined did not happen how he wanted to. In that same way, Ruka is essentially having what's happening to Kazuya in reverse to herself. So I just don't see that number thing really happening. That just feels like off. I could see Ruka reaching 100 under circumstances she does not understand. And that has nothing to do with any guy or anything. And that will be incredibly weird for her. I think the biggest thing that Reiji is seemingly setting up for Ruka's character is for her to realize Kazuya isn't necessarily the reason the heartbeat is rising. Because every single time she's always falsely associated it with him. Every single time Ruka has falsely, she even does it in this chapter. She falsely associates her heartbeat rising with Kazuya, not necessarily possibly the circumstance she finds herself in. Like here, give me a sec. This might even be false. This number might even be false. Let me double check. So look, this is one thing Reiji's directly creating a comparison to. When Ruka took Kazuya to a love hotel, there's a very clear similarity between these two instances. There's a very clear similarity between these two instances. Now, when Ruka steps out, she gets the number 91. What was another time Ruka got a number? I think 97 is the highest it's ever gone. But there was another time she got a number. Just let me make sure. It's like 40. No, not 42. 41 maybe? Yeah, 194 was another number she got. This was on her birthday. Yeah. So I think another big thing is Ruka definitely telling Kazuya about the numbers. But like 100 isn't even really a high number, right? 100 isn't even really a high number. If anything, like I think there's like a part where Chizuru like broke that number really easily, like early in the manga. Like when she kissed Kazuya and her heartbeat was even like crazier than Ruka's. So I think it's kind of funny that by that very same logic that Ruka is applying to her heartbeat, Ruka has already, Chizuru has already beaten that very logic with her heart beating. Because when she kissed Kazuya or when she did CPR, she get like 140. And what did Reiji show us in chapter 398, right before the start of all of this? In chapter 398, the very end of it, is Minnie tells Kazuya, what does Minnie tell Kazuya right here? Kazuya asks her, what is like a heart flutter or a spark? And she's like, oh, it's like your heart skips a beat. And what do we see with Chizuru? Right here, right? Her heart is beating like fucking insane. And we see this. We see this entire thing. Her heart's like boom, 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 boom. And I think that would be like an interesting thing for Ruka's character, where she's like, she thinks if she hits 100, something is going to change about her. But then Chizuru is probably hit like 140, 100, whatever. Right? She's like probably way past that point in terms of heart beating. And so it's that false narrative to Ruka that like her getting 100 is going to change anything. It's not. She thinks if she gets number 100 in her heartbeat rating, something is going to magically change. It's not. And again, that's another aspect of that false narrative that like she thinks like just because her heart doesn't beat like fucking crazy that she's going to change somehow if it does. Right? In reality, that's not actually what's going on. If anything, I think it's really important that Ruka, so in Japanese here, Ruka says something along the lines of, I'm at my limit. And she's essentially trying to seemingly break some sort of limit, and yet she's already overwhelmed at this point, right? Her body is quite literally already overwhelmed with her trying to break this 97-meter point. But she's already like far past that point. Like she shouldn't. It's almost like, hey, maybe you shouldn't push yourself so much. You know, that's the impression this kind of gives you. It's like, okay, no, you've already clearly pushed yourself too far, and you don't see yourself. You clearly do not see yourself, and what's going on with you, like that you've pushed yourself far too far. And I think that mirrors this sequence right here with this guy, where this guy in some ways literally doesn't see himself, where he's trying to hit on her and say, hey, you're cute, not realizing like she has something going on in her world, and almost like, and the literal sign on the ground that says stop, right? He's not aware of his surroundings. He's literally not aware of himself. Just as in some ways, Ruka, when she's facing us, is not aware of her surroundings and herself, that she's literally tumbling over, right? She's literally falling over here. Chizuru suffers a heart attack, but does not even send a happy birthday message to Kazuya. That, I don't think you know what a heart attack is. I don't think you know what a heart attack is. And you don't know if Chizuru didn't send him a happy birthday. She very well could have. You don't know. You don't know why she's not saying anything. You don't know what the deal is. She could have said happy birthday. You're just under the impression she didn't because you didn't see it. Are you seeing a repeating pattern here? You guys don't see something and you act like it didn't happen. But you don't know if it didn't happen or not. Because Kazuya does tell you, when he's talking to his grandmother, he does tell you, oh no, I told her not to show up. Does that mean she said happy birthday? Does that mean she talked to him? You don't know. You have no clue. Stop pretending like you know. You don't know. Period. Everybody comes in here and pretends like they understand what's going on in the story, and the story's actively telling you, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I think Reiji's almost doing that on purpose at this point, because so many people love to talk about this story completely out of context and like they know exactly what they're talking about when they have no fucking clue. They don't know shit. And Reiji's literally using that as a narrative tool to be like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And he's slowly like showing you that more and more, right? He's actively showing you that false narrative more and more and more. So right here, I think what we're seeing here is that you're getting presented this idea that Ruka can't take this anymore, whatever this is. You get, maybe it could, like, so your immediate impression is that, oh, maybe it's like Kazuya, where like she really wants to have sex so she can't hold it anymore. In reality, this is something else. It's actually more so her body literally can't keep up. She's overwhelming her body, right? She says she's like ready to do this thing, and it's clear it's too much for her. It's clear whatever she's trying to do is actually too much for her. And in some ways, her parents were right? Her parents were literally telling her when she was a kid, hey, don't do this. This is bad for you. And she, feeling like she lacks something, resists and tries to have it anyway. Literally like an addiction. Literally like someone trying to cope with their grief and they fucking can't. But they keep like relying on this addiction and they don't want to let it go. Ruka's real addiction isn't necessarily love. It's this idea of feeling a sense of completeness. Not realizing in chasing this completeness so much, she's actually starting to hurt herself. Literally. It's hospital time when it hits 100. I don't think it'll ever really hit 100 because her trying to reach 100 it would possibly end up in that kind of result. But that's the thing. No one knows she's trying to do this. Ruka doesn't know what she's trying to do. She doesn't know how she's hurting herself, nor do the other people around her know this. And basically, you're slowly being fed this information to be like, okay, you think this is all just about sex and all that, and you don't actually realize what's actually happening is Ruka's actually kind of hurting herself. Like when she says I'm at my limit, she's literally like she literally is, right? And she knows like what she did here was crazy, but she's gonna keep trying to do it, not because of Kazuya himself, but how she's perceiving the events around her and the world around her. She's literally living a fiction. So let's see. Right, like look at her here. She looks like she's in a daze. She looks like she's out of it. She almost looks like she's not even really here. It's almost like she's hallucinating, or she's like in an illusion. The opening for season 4 even evokes this kind of imagery where you have this like almost dizziness to what Ruka is doing, or this like illusion or hallucination. Let me pull up what I'm talking about. Okay, there it is. So this is every character in the opening for Umitsuki got like a certain kind of visual. They literally all just got like a certain kind of visual. So Chizuru's was a crown, Mami's was the glass slipper. Ruka, because she's Snow White, is the apple, the poison apple in particular. And look at the imagery. Look at the imagery. It's like she's eating the poison apple and her world is like literally like melding and like turning into some sort of hallucination. And it's like this destructive force where Ruka wants to eat the apple, but the apple is literally killing her. Or it's like becoming this like twisted world where it's like she's hallucinating. Everything about this visual feels dangerous. Even the shadow, even the way the shadow for the apple is drawn, comes off as like kind of dangerous. And yet, when you go to the very beginning of the opening, what do you see? Look at how Ruka is like holding up the apple as she sits on top of her own coffin. She quite literally sits on top of her own coffin as she's holding up this apple like this magical thing that's going to save her. When in reality, she's literally about to sit in her own coffin. And then later in the opening, she literally uses that very apple to save someone else, right? She uses this very thing that she knows is destructive to save someone else, as she does later in the story too, where, you know, she throws it into the dragon's mouth. The dragon eats it, and the dragon explodes and dies. Literally, that visual motif for Ruka of like almost sinking into a kind of hallucination is kind of like the point. Ruka is like the Wicked Witch of the West, as she was given an apple by her sister and she ate it and then turned into the witch. But Ruka isn't a witch. The whole idea of what Reiji is presenting us not what Reiji is presenting us. What the opening is presenting us for season 4 is that every single character is both presented as like kind of the villain and the princess. So like Mami is presented as Cinderella, and yet she's using like these scary magic ice powers that Cinderella doesn't really have. You have what is it? You have Ruka being presented as Snow White, and yet she's tossing the apples like she's the evil queen. You have Sumi, who's presented as Little Red Riding Hood, and yet her literal dog is the wolf. Is the wolf dressed as her grandmother? Her dog. You have what is it? You have Minnie presented as Alice in Wonderland, but in reality, she's almost like the queen because she's literally sitting where the queen would sit, and she's getting all these things the queen would get. right? It's almost like Minnie is secretly the Queen of Hearts. And then finally, you have Chizuru, who is actually supposed to be Sleeping Beauty, except she's awake, and she's in the tower with all the vines. It's almost like she's secretly her own Maleficent, right? She's the Sleeping Beauty, and she's kind of like her own Maleficent because she wears this crown that has a rose on it with a bunch of vines. And literally the entire if you know anything about the rose and like the backstory of the rose, the whole idea of the rose is that it's literally has vines in it, and the vines make you bleed, right? So that's why all the characters are seemingly like an amalgamation of the fairy tales and their counterparts, right? They're literally the fairy tales and their own counterparts. And even like Nagomi, like when you see Nagomi and she pops in as supposedly the fairy grandmother, she's literally dressed like a witch. She's not dressed like a fairy godmother. She's dressed like a witch. And then when you look at all of the girls around Kazuya, they're literally the three fairies. If you actually pay attention to how they're dressed, Ruka is supposed to be Snow White, but she wears a little bit of green. Minnie wears blue, and Sumi wears red. They're literally the three fairies, right? And then if you think about it that way, that means Nagomi is the dark fairy, and so Kazuya in the opening is literally supposed to be the knight in Sleeping Beauty, and he's going to save the Sleeping Beauty, except he's not a knight, and he didn't need a fairy. And Chizuru is in some ways, she can jump out of the castle herself. So in some ways, she's literally trapping herself in the castle. She's her own Maleficent. There's a lot of fascinating layers about the opening, but the whole point I was trying to get at is there's this idea of like a false narrative that's being applied with the characters right now. Let's see. What false narratives are we talking about here? I'm late. So short answer is fine. The false narrative is essentially every character is living through a false narrative. We already delved into Ruka herself and the false narrative she's living in, and it's not the kind of false narrative you think it is. There's also the false narrative of Umi himself, where when Ruka and Umi are in the same picture together, you think to yourself, well, Umi wants to date Chizuru and Ruka wants to date Kazuya. Oh my god, they're the two NTR crew. They're gonna fucking team up. They're gonna work together. That's the narrative you're literally intentionally being presented, and it's a false narrative. You're literally being led down this idea, even though you don't actually understand what the fuck is going on. Because Ruka and Umi couldn't be more different. Ruka is a kid pretending to be an adult. Umi is an adult pretending to be a kid. They're quite literally opposites. So they're nothing like each other. In that same way, there are like certain things that are like happening here that are a little fascinating. So there's a little more nuance I should mention with the whole Umi thing. So I talked to Mute briefly. Mute talked about what Umi was saying here, and he didn't understand like the nuances of English, so he kind of misinterpreted what was going on. So there's a little nuance here. Umi is being a little playful with his words. So he's saying, "Ooh, you look good in a tuxedo," kind of like that. But it's like that kind of playful thing. It's kind of like that playful thing where someone, what is it? It's that playful thing where you know your friend is like being a little like rude to you, but it's like a playful kind of rude. You know how like some guys like express affection by being kind of dicks. That's kind of how Umi's presenting himself. He's essentially lightly teasing Kazuya, where he's saying, "Oh, you look good in a tuxedo." He's not actually. It's not a straight compliment. So what he's saying here is not a straight compliment. It's more so teasing. He's actually teasing Kazuya a little bit, but what that does is it comes off as friendly. It kind of comes off as friendly. When I was talking to Mute thought he was supposedly coming off as mocking. And I'm like, okay, can you elaborate on that? And then once we dug into it a little bit, I'm like, okay, but do you realize how like that doesn't sound like Umi? Because the way you're framing it is like he's mocking Kazuya to his face. But Umi has never done that. So that's weird. So if you reinterpret how he's saying it, in reality, it's actually coming off as teasing, like he's being a bro, because he's trying to frame himself like Kazuya's friend. So that's what Umi does. Umi actively tries to frame himself like Kazuya's friend. So he's trying to frame himself like a bro here by being a little teasing with the, oh, you look good in a tuxedo, but it's like, you look good in a tuxedo. Like some, I don't know how to phrase it. It's like he's drawing his sentences out. So let me show you let me show you the Japanese text. He's literally drawing his sentences out. So it's like he's like it's like, you look good in a tuxedo, but like in a kind of in more of an insulting kind of way. Is so Umi being sarcastic? It like comes off as not really sarcastic, not really sarcastic. It's like kind of sarcastic. It's hard to translate. It's kind of hard to explain it to you, but it's like kind of sarcastic, kind of not really. It's like a self-aware sarcastic where it's like your friend is giving you a compliment, but they're also not giving you a compliment. And that is the compliment. I don't know. It's a guy thing. It's some guys do this. Some guys do this. This is how they show affection because there's a lot of guys who are really bad at showing like direct sort of forms of affection. So what they'll do is they'll express affection by like teasing. And that's how Umi's trying to do it here. He's trying to show affection by teasing. He's being a guy, if you will. No. He's not being a douchebag. He's not being a douchebag. He's literally trying to show affection to Kazuya without directly showing affection because that would be weird. If he was just actually straight up showing affection, it would be weird. So he's showing affection by giving a compliment, but keeping the compliment almost lighthearted. Let me read you what Mute wrote. I talked to Mute about this. Let me read you what he wrote. So so after we talked about it, I literally said, so yeah, it's light teasing to give Kazuya a friendly impression. Condescending in English is very rude, like immediately so. This didn't feel like Umi, so I was a little thrown off by that description. But playful teasing does sound like Umi, especially with Kazuya. So he's essentially playfully teasing Kazuya. He's not like being a dick, right? So I even like let's translate this. Even when we say looking down on someone in Japanese, it doesn't carry as strong a meaning as English words condescending. Rather than being rude or looking down on someone, it has the nuance of light teasing or a relaxed way of speaking. Umi-kun isn't saying what Umi-kun isn't what Umi-kun is saying isn't rude. The usage of the sentence ending in Japanese is meant to convey it feels like a casual compliment rather than something serious. See what I mean? He's literally trying to give him a light compliment. He's not trying to be a douche. He's literally trying to actually like give him a light compliment and not come off as like awkward or weird. But that kind of nuance kind of gets a little lost in the English because it's just translated straight. Like how do you convey that, right? Because if you say that in a certain way, it can come off like he's being a dick. So I can see why they kind of translated it straight, where it's like how do you convey that? Don't forget that don't forget the fact that Umi's POV, he's rival with Kazuya, so definitely he's gonna be underhanded tactics on Kazuya. You don't know that. Look, this is another false narrative that I was talking about. You don't know Umi, period. And you want to know how I can prove it to you? You never hear his thoughts. Whose thoughts do you hear here? You hear Ruka's thoughts. But you never hear Umi's thoughts. You don't know what the fuck is going on through his head. You have no fucking clue. You don't know shit. You don't know if Umi is actually Kazuya's rival or if this is something completely different. Okay? Let's see. I forgot you had evening shift. Yeah. Okay. It would be nice to hear his thoughts. I won't be surprised if Umi goes straight to Chizuru after this conversation with That doesn't make sense. He would have to know her schedule, or he would try to like meet her, be like, "Hey, when can we meet?" Blah blah blah. But it doesn't make sense for him to just randomly go there. That's just kind of weird. No, I'm just. My whole point is that the narrative does not add up. My whole point is that the narrative does not add up. But that's the thing. Ulterior motive can be a positive thing and a negative thing. You never know how you frame an ulterior motive can be interpreted as positive or negative, and you don't really know. Like what you like, someone could agree with it, someone could disagree with it, and you never know. Okay, let's hold off for now. I know. Let's read what this user wrote. We're gonna read some Japanese fans posts first, and then we'll deep L. Oops. There we go. What is? Oh my God! What is? Go away. What is this all? What is all this garbage? Go away. Okay. Okay. After the escape, honestly, I was kind of forgetting this whole setup already. The background's pretty cute, huh? She acted pretty resolute, or rather dignified, but Ruka-chan was clearly overwhelmed too. That expression. It's technically a heart rate monitor, but in Ruka-chan's mind, it's more like a meter or an emotion gauge. Yeah. Yeah, it's just supposed to be a heart rate monitor, but Ruka views it as like something more when it isn't. System-wise, hitting 100 probably doesn't trigger anything, but for Ruka-chan, it's like an unknown barrier. She wasn't even thinking about Chizuru, she was completely out of it. Oh, she's referring, this is Kazuya. If he told her, if she told her, Chizuru would definitely be shocked, but whether the chance to do so actually comes up is another matter. Of course she'd be shaken, but her next move would be either backing off or going head to head. From Ruka-chan's perspective, Chizuru is still the same as before. She probably assumes they're not officially dating yet. So it makes sense she'd think going strong would be effective. But the reality is, Chizuru is trying to face her feelings, so it might actually backfire. Well, she's still dwelling on the kiss and feelings all flustered, so it might just make her even more flustered. Even though she said she'd be okay with being second best, she still has that lingering hope, doesn't she? Yeah, that makes sense. And it's because Ruka isn't actually okay being second. That's bullshit. That's a whole bunch of fucking bullshit. She's not actually okay being second. Her actions contradict her words. That's the problem. Since Kazuya's feelings for Chizuru are genuine, pushing forward without acknowledging that would backfire, or worse, risk him hating her, and their relationship hitting rock bottom. And that's the thing. Ruka is literally at a deadlock. She can't move forward. She can't move back. And she knows it. And she's going to keep getting reminded of that. And I think that's why I think what the Umi situation is going to do is, you think it's going to like cause some like worsening situation. In reality, I could see it being something that could like utterly destroy Ruka's narrative. Like, I mean, it could be the thing that causes her depression. So if Ruka overhears, like I bet you this. So there's a few pieces of information that are very crucial here. Reiji presents us very crucial pieces of information. One, he shows us this with Ruka. Ruka mentions being okay with being second. Her face contradicts that. But listen to what she says. He didn't deny anything about his relationship with Chizuru's son. They must still be involved with each other. But if they ever got together for real, then I don't think she would be willing to ignore me. So are they not a couple yet? Don't tell her. Okay. If I told her about it, I wonder what would happen. I bet she would be shocked. Would I have a chance then? I wasn't lying about how I felt. No matter how their relationship progresses, I don't ever want to leave Kazuya-kun. But if I'm lucky, could I really do such a thing? If he loves Chizuru's son, if I force them to break up, he could end up hating me. That could completely destroy the purpose of doing it. So you're presented something very crucial here with Ruka. She doesn't know how far their relationship has progressed. This is the crucial information Ruka doesn't know. Then Kazuya says something that literally tells you this. It reinforces what you were just told. Where is it? In the first place, this relationship has its limits. This is a very crucial piece of dialogue. Why? In the very opening page, when Ruka says, I can't take it anymore, in Japanese, she specifically says, I'm at my limit. So the relationship having a limit and her literally hitting that limit is the point. She's literally hit a fucking wall. She can't, if she breaks this limit, that's it. But then there's a little bit more. Kazuya says, I don't think telling her about my relationship with Mizuhara would be good for anyone at this point. Even if I did, Ruka-chan probably wouldn't accept the situation about living together and our dates. You think you're under the impression. So what this does is essentially be like, okay, hey, Ruka doesn't know about this thing, and then Kazuya just literally tells you telling her about this thing is a bad idea, and then comes in the one fucking person who could possibly tell her about this thing. Right? What are the fucking odds? The one fucking person who could possibly tell her about this thing, besides Minnie or Chizuru, comes in. What are the fucking odds? This is where I think the narrative is going to flip. This is my theory. I think if Ruka finds out, she's going to get depressed. If Ruka finds out, she's going to get depressed. Because she's under the impression that they've maybe just been dating or it's just been light like it has been before. But knowing that they lived together for a whole fucking month, that key that he gave her was all a big false narrative. Ruka was never first in anything. It would shatter her. And this is why I think Umi showing up could be Ruka's depression phase. Because what have we had so far? We've had denial, we've had bargaining, we've had anger, and now we're going to hit depression. Now we're about to hit depression. Because Ruka finding out about this thing that is clearly being foreshadowed for you here, that, hey, she doesn't know this, and then Kazuya says, it's a bad idea to tell her, because you think she's going to blow up. In reality, that's the thing that might very well just, knock her out of it. Because her finding out, oh, shit, literally, her finding out they were living together upends her entire narrative. It's not that she can get lucky. She never had a fucking chance. It was already over, and she didn't know. It's that bad. And this is something I literally said in an analysis I wrote on my Twitter, where it's like the small lie upends everything. Let me pull it up. Small lie. Yeah, there it is right here. The small lie that Kazuya tells Ruka in chapter 402 about her being the first girl in his apartment feels really small and minor. It doesn't fucking matter. You would never think this is a big deal, yet it hides a much bigger issue of foundational lies, making it a bigger deal than it appears. To many, Minnie is just a friend, so this is not a big deal. Yet the first time Ruka saw Minnie at Kazuya's house, she already felt uncomfortable with her, as Minnie is Ruka's inverse, admiring Kazuya for his love for Chizuru just as Ruka's love Ruka loves that part of him. They are flipped. Emulation and or experiencing things by proxy is key here. Ruka wants Kazuya's love for Chizuru for herself, so she directly asks him to date her instead because she is real and Chizuru isn't. In contrast, Minnie admires Kazuya's love, and rather than find her own, she lives through his. Minnie is Ruka's inverse. They are far more connected than they appear. So let's cut through the all that stuff. Where is it? The source of Ruka's desire for sex is because Kazuya was chasing Chizuru's keychain, aka chasing Chizuru. This first time is a lie even if neither have had sex, and the point of a relationship is to share real experiences with each other, not to do it based on lies. This little lie roots itself back to Kazuya's experiencing things with Minnie first instead of Chizuru, the one he wanted to actually experience things with and chose not to. A perfect mirror to Ruka, but now on a much larger and more consequential scale. All of 402 is the lie of first times. This is now impacting Ruka too, as he experienced a lot of things with Minnie and even Chizuru first, and now it's looping all the way back around to a big experience like sex, something that, if it happens, is cheating and even robs Chizuru and himself of first times with their lover. So, literally, this tiny thing where Kazuya lies to Ruka about Ruka being the first one in Kazuya's house when it was Minnie, digs so much deeper when you realize Ruka is not even sharing like a real first anything with him because he's already done everything else with Chizuru. He fucking lived with her. They literally shared a goddamn house. Like, by comparison, Ruka being in Kazuya's house first means fucking nothing. Right? Ruka being in Kazuya's house first means fucking nothing. In comparison to Kazuya literally living with Chizuru for a fucking month. They had that entire time together. Like, by comparison, her intimacy means jack shit. Do you see how brutal that is? Like, it would be utterly fucking devastating for Ruka. So the setup that people are looking at is like, oh no, Ruka and Umi are gonna team up. In reality, it's about shattering Ruka. It is gonna fucking break her. It is going to literally shatter her entire narrative, her entire perception. And so what this chapter does, what this chapter builds up, is this perception Ruka has. Your entire intro is Ruka's perception of events based on her own perspective. And most of it is you spending time in her mind. But how do you start the chapter with you literally looking at her and she is at her limit? Ruka is literally already at her limit. She already feels powerless and doesn't know what to do. In comes in Umi, who's just going to uproot this entire thing. Everything Ruka understood, he's going to uproot it. Because what does Umi narratively do every time he shows up? He creates change. He creates the necessary change. Every single time Umi shows up in the narrative, he creates the necessary change that needs to happen. And what is the thing Ruka was consistently denied? What is the thing Kazuya consistently denied Ruka from the very fucking beginning? From the moment the 3 months happened, what did Kazuya not do? Tell Ruka the truth. What did Kazuya do when Ruka assaulted him? He told her to pretend nothing happened and this is just an accident. Don't tell Chizuru. He's telling her not to tell Chizuru while not telling her what was going on with Chizuru. How is that fair? And so literally this thing that Kazuya needed to do, which was tell Ruka the fucking truth, the sooner the better, is now going to come out in a way that he did not intend it to happen and is going to fucking wreck her. It is going to wreck Ruka. And Kazuya might see, and she's gonna be wrecked. Like, I bet Ruka might not even be able to work this shift. I would not be surprised if this is like Kazuya's fuck up, where he hurt her without meaning to, right? Kazuya was constantly trying to avoid hurting Ruka. And in so doing, because he constantly kept avoiding this, it escalated to a point where he hurt her so much more than he could have ever imagined. And she too did the same exact thing to him. They both hurt each other far more than they could have ever imagined because they waited too long to talk about shit and did not actually try to have a conversation with each other. So that's what I think is going to happen. Umi, again, without meaning to, as he always does, is going to lead to the right path that needs to be addressed. And this is something Umi's done every single fucking time he's been in the narrative. Umi is literally, in my opinion, representative of necessary change. He is a character that literally represents necessary change. When Umi showed up in the cohabitation, Reiji literally said it hits at the heart of the story. When Umi shows up at that point, Reiji literally says Umi's presence hits at the heart of the story, the core conflict that has not been addressed. This core conflict that has not been addressed. And what did Kazuya learn at the end of that interaction after Chizuru and him went to the nursery? He took his first step into adulthood. The nursery is fundamentally core to this, because what does it tell you? Chizuru literally says to the little girl when she's talking to her, sometimes adults lose their way. They forget who they are, and they hurt each other without meaning to. They get into fights, they argue, and they don't realize what they're doing. And so much of that arc is literally about children being the little reflections of us and the part of us that we must address and understand in ourselves. And Kazuya, in not being honest and talking to Ruka, reflects how he's not being honest and talking to himself. And in some ways, not seeking the answers that literally, what he's doing to Ruka is the thing he's pissed off is happening to himself. And he doesn't realize he's doing it to himself. What I mean by this is that Kazuya constantly wants fucking answers to everything. The difference between him and Ruka is actually asking. And in some ways, she's kind of trying to figure it out, and she just doesn't know how to express it. Kazuya also wants answers to questions, and he never asks. The difference between him and Ruka is that Ruka is actually a kid, and she doesn't fucking know. Kazuya is an adult, and in realizing what he did to Ruka, he's going to realize how he's in some ways been doing this to himself with Chizuru and the people around him, where he has all these questions and he's not asking. He's not asking anybody. He's constantly pissed and angry, and he wants to know, and no one is telling him anything. But in reality, he's the one not asking questions. Ruka is that little reflection of him. Ruka is literally reflecting that very thing in him. She wants to know what to do. She's confused, she's lost, and he's keeping this stuff secret from her and not talking to her. And because of that, it ultimately is going to come out in a way that's going to hurt her more than intended. And that's what I think is going to happen. Umi is going to cause this big cataclysm, but not in the way you imagined. It's not going to happen at all how you imagined. Umi isn't going to be here to actually try and hurt anybody. You think he is. You think Umi's out to get Kazuya. But I adamantly believe that's total horseshit. I adamantly believe Umi is not out to get Kazuya. He's not mommy. Nor is he Aruka. He's none of these things. And the reason I genuinely believe this is because Umi has had chances to do these things and he didn't. And that's why I kind of doubt that narrative that Umi's this like piece of shit who's like really insecure and coming after Kazuya. It just doesn't really fully add up. Maybe he is insecure a little bit about Kazuya. Maybe he envies aspects of Kazuya in some ways that Chizuru envies Ruka, where he maybe envies Kazuya's ability to show affection and build real relationships, whereas Umi feels like he can't build a real relationship. That's something I could maybe kind of agree to. But Umi to me doesn't feel like this kind of character who's like out to do NTR bullshit. That's not really Umi. If anything, he feels like this character who is trying to form real relationships, and to me, feels like he's like challenging Chizuru. But again, this is all mostly conjecture based on the fact that we're not getting complete information, and that seems to be by design. In chapter 329, page 12, Chizuru says being naked gave her a sense of freedom. Do you think that could be important later, hitting in a more emotional, open Chizuru with Kazuya? Yes, that is fundamentally important because sex is a huge motif in the narrative. Chizuru feeling a sort of sense. So that's a double-layered thing. One aspect to that is that Chizuru thinks that's stupid because of it probably a relation to her mother. Because she's just like, okay, why is like being physically naked making me feel free? That's stupid. And Chizuru tries to kind of disassociate from her desires because she doesn't want to be like her mom who gave in to her desires. So that element, Chizuru almost fears that. Chizuru in some ways kind of fears this vulnerability, while at the same time she views it as kind of stupid in some ways. But this is actually also what Chizuru wants because there's a huge factor of Kazuya and Chizuru, both of them, feeling this deep sexual desire and wish to be vulnerable and open with the person that they love, but they feel this sense of fear that they'll be judged and hated for it. And this is why, where is it? This is why in chapter 330 or something, let me find it. So this is right after that scene. This is it 330, I think? Yeah, this is right after this scene. So this is right after Chizuru says that. She runs into him. She runs into Kazuya, right? This is how the chapter starts. She runs into him. And she sees him and she freaks and she turns and she says, "What am I hiding for?" And she has a flashback, right? Could he be looking for date clothes? It would be weird to say hi. It wouldn't be weird to say hi, right? I said we shouldn't lie to each other, so it wouldn't be right to avoid him. Then she remembers that moment, that vulnerability, and she gets scared. Never mind, my hair is probably a mess. And visually, there's a symbolism here. There's a window pattern. And there is this pattern called houndstooth. Houndstooth is an old, I forgot specifically where it's from. I think it's like New Zealand or something. And it's this old pattern that's become very popular these days, where a lot of fashion people wear this pattern. But the pattern, what it actually means is protection. And what do you see Chizuru doing? Reaching for the side of protection rather than the side that represents openness and directness, right? Like this is a window pattern, so you can see her. You're seeing a window into herself. In contrast, you have this pattern of protection, and Chizuru leans towards the pattern of protection because she's scared. Chizuru's biggest thing is that she wants to be vulnerable, and she's just scared and doesn't know how. Chizuru literally like people think Chizuru is like some adult who has her shit together. Deep down, she is just a scared kid who doesn't know how to be vulnerable. And she just needs comfort. The thing is, with this kind of struggle, forcing it makes it worse. You don't force it, you just make the person feel safe and comfortable. And what does Kazuya do at the very, very, very end after he's rejected? He makes her feel safe and comfortable. He tells her he believes in her. He doesn't get angry at her. He doesn't yell at her. He doesn't do any of these things. He just makes her feel safe and comfortable. And because of that, Chizuru starts feeling more confident in herself and decides to open up to him. The thing is, that vulnerability, this is what Kazuya needs now. And Chizuru has tried to do that, but he's not really letting her in. And that was a huge factor as to why Chizuru was scared of being vulnerable. And I think people don't understand that. The reason Chizuru was a little scared of being vulnerable isn't just because she's not used to it, it's because Kazuya isn't really fully opening up to her. So if he's not opening up to her, she feels like she maybe he's hiding something. She feels scared because she doesn't know what is he. Why won't he open up to me? I'm trying to open up to him, and he won't open up to me, and he's scared of me. If he's scared of me, I'm almost scared of him now. So it becomes this cycle where they become basically both of them are a little scared of each other, and they're scared to like fully open up about who they are to the other person in fear that the other person may truly hate them. And that's why Chizuru being put in that position where Kazuya would, like, she says, you should hate me, and he doesn't, helps her feel safe. That's real vulnerability. That's real intimacy, where you can break apart in front of someone, like really show your gross part of yourself, and you feel safe. And that's exactly what Chizuru experienced. So this is, in fact, quite important. The characters are almost terrified of sex at this point because sex represents this like bad part of yourself that you hate. And Kazuya is scared of himself. He's scared of this part of himself, but so is Chizuru. Chizuru is also scared of this part of herself. And they both really want to be seen and accepted by the other person. But they're also terrified about opening up about this thing because they're afraid of like looking at themselves. So there's quite a lot of layers to going on with this situation. Anyways, it's too perfect of a narrative that Umi would be that shallow on purpose, on accident. Yeah, that works. Yeah, wouldn't it be perfect that Umi is shallow by accident? Right? He's not trying to be shallow, and he ends up doing a shallow thing by accident. And you realize, oh, he's not a dick. He wasn't trying to be a dick. He was just trying to help, and he somehow made it worse. Like, I would be really fascinated if he's like trying to tell Kazuya everything, and he kind of fucks up and ends up telling Ruka everything by accident. In his attempt to like tell Kazuya everything, he tells the wrong person everything. Right? I think that would be super fitting. Umi is trying to tell Kazuya the whole truth and unintentionally ends up telling Ruka the truth that, Kazuya should have told. He robbed Kazuya of a choice without realizing. And I think that's very much Umi's character. It's unintentionally robbing people of choices when he's trying to give them a choice. And that's a repeating motif kind of throughout the narrative, if you really kind of pay attention. Like, Umi has kind of always done this. He's tried to give people a choice, and all he does is unintentionally rob people of a choice. You literally see that when he passes the ball to Chizuru. He passes the ball to Chizuru, and he fucks up. And the only reason it goes well is because Chizuru's got her fucking shit together. That's the only reason it goes well. Okay, so last update on the sales was last September, where it was 14 million. 4 months later, it's 15 million. So 1 million in 4 months. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Ooh, that's good shit. That's good shit. I hate that we don't know shit about what Umi wants or why at any point. That's the point. No. If you're frustrated, if you are annoyed that you don't know shit, understand that Reiji is leveraging that because now you understand exactly how Kazuya feels and how Ruka feels. They're mad and frustrated. They don't know anything. In fact, that's even something with Minnie. Minnie is so frustrated at not knowing shit, she will fabricate fucking narratives just so she can convince herself she knows. And that's how Minnie copes with grief. Right? You've seen how almost every character has kind of coped with grief in some way, shape, or form. The way Minnie copes with grief is by trying to tell herself she understands things when she doesn't know shit. Minnie needs to understand something because that's how she can deal with her grief. Because when you're going through grief, you're lost, you're confused, you don't know what you're experiencing, and you feel alone in not knowing things, right? A big factor of grief is this element of not knowing what the future is going to be like. You feel scared because you feel so alone and you don't understand anything. So certain characters, what they'll try to do, and you see this a lot in narratives. Like, for instance, you can see this in Claire Obscure. You can see this in Expedition 33. You can see this in like Thor, not Thor, God of War Ragnarok. Like, there's two characters in those stories who cope with grief in a similar way. One being Odin, in Thor, or not Thor, one being Odin in God of War Ragnarok, where what he tries to do is he's trying so hard to control his destiny because he's so scared of what's going to happen if he doesn't have control. So he tries to be as smart as humanly possible. He wants to be the smartest person in the fucking room so he can know what destiny is and control it. In so doing, he makes destiny reality because he's trying so hard to control his destiny, he ultimately gets controlled by it. In contrast, if you go to Expedition 33, Gustav, the first character you meet in that story, his whole thing is that he is stuck in a world where he could die at any fucking moment, and the way he tries to gain control is by learning as much as he possibly can, just so he can feel a modicum of control in a world that actively tries to rob him of control, only for him to realize he doesn't know jack shit, only for you to realize you don't know jack shit, right? So that leverage of trying to get control is fundamental here. Because this is literally where Kazuya is right now. Kazuya is living in an illusion. He is living in fiction. So is Ruka living in an illusion. So is Ruka living in fiction. And they don't have control. And they think they have control. And now they're starting to lose control. They're gripping onto this like fiction that is going to break in like 2 seconds. Literally, their fiction is going to shatter like any fucking moment. And they are willfully unprepared for it. They are about to get like an insane rude awakening. They are willfully unprepared for their fiction to utterly just fucking shatter. And that's what's going to happen soon. Kazuya's fiction that he sold Ruka this entire time is about to shatter. So is Kazuya's fiction that Ruka giving up is for the best, because he doesn't realize what that actually means. So this is where this part is really important. She said she was okay with being second, so I don't think she's going to tell Mizuhara right away about what happened. I mean, if I could become a couple with Mizuhara and have Ruka-chan give up, that'd be for the best. Okay, besides, the next time I see Mizuhara, I don't even know how I'm supposed to face her. You should be worried about Ruka right now, right? He's saying, how am I going to face Mizuhara next time I see her? Who walks in through the door? Ruka. He should have been asking, how am I going to face Ruka the next time I see her? Right? He's literally not asking the right questions. He's literally asking the wrong fucking questions. Because who walked in through the door right now? Ruka. Who's going to walk in through the door in just a few minutes? Umi. He's willfully unprepared to deal with both, because he's so worried about how Chizuru is going to react, that he's ignoring the reality around him, and reality is catching up, and it is slowly but surely forcing a cruel choice on him. A cruel choice, in some ways, in part of his own making, that he, in part, kind of did this to himself. That, like, if Kazuya had approached this differently, he might not have been put in such a position. But he is not taking the initiative, right? This is literally what Nagomi warned Kazuya about. You need to take the initiative, or job hunting is going to eat you alive. And what has Kazuya been failing to do? He has not taken initiative with Ruka whatsoever. He's not even thinking about that right now, and he seemingly forgot Umi was just gonna fucking show up here, right? He never even considered Umi would just walk through the fucking door right now, right? Maybe Umi showed up early. We don't know. He's supposed to like meet up at 9 or something, but it seems like that was wrong. So all of that, basically, Kazuya is like willfully unprepared for this entire fucking situation. There are so many things he should be considering, and he's not thinking about any of them. And he's not considering how Ruka-chan just giving up might not be what he thinks it is, right? Because Ruka just giving up is Ruka having her heart utterly fucking shattered. That's what Ruka giving up is. And her heart is gonna goddamn break. I still prefer the first 3 God of War games. Have you played God of War 1 recently? Just asking. Have you played God of War 1 recently? Because that final climbing level is the most bullshit game design I've ever fucking seen in my goddamn life. It is horseshit. God of War 2, God of War 3 is like, okay, fine, it's a fun game. Fine, it's a fun game. But God of War 1 kind of sucks ass. God of War 1 kind of sucks ass. God of War 2 and 3 are pretty good games. I would argue like a little messy in their writing, but they're pretty good games. I think like I like 2018 God of War a lot, and I like God of War Ragnarok a pretty solid amount. I'm not a crazy big fan of its combat, but I do like I think what they do a really good job at that most people don't give them credit for is sound design. Because when that axe comes back to your hand, it's like, whoosh, it's such a nice sound. It's such a nice sound. Like they do such a good job with the sound work, and I think few games get the proper credit for sound work. Like I think upon beating Expedition 33, the sound work does not get enough fucking credit in that game. It needs to. Holy shit. And I'm not talking about like the fucking music. The music is already god tier. I'm not talking about the fucking music. I'm talking about like what they do with like fucking parries, where like they make a sound pattern for the parries, so you could literally trace it with your ears. You could literally follow like something like that, where it's like you could literally follow the timing of the patterns with the parries by just following a tune. And that's incredible. That's such good game design. Like, holy shit. I kid you not. I was willfully underleveled when I was fighting like one of the final bosses, and I parried fucking everything. I parried literally fucking everything. Like literally a few hits and this motherfucker would have killed me. I parried fucking everything just because I learned the pattern. I literally I would enter the boss fight, get my ass utterly fucking destroyed. I would literally come back, I'd restart the fight. I learned the pattern of the parries. And so now I can literally parry everything. I was so goddamn proud of myself. I was literally parrying everything. I don't dodge, by the way. I don't dodge. I parry. But anyways, that's something I just want to talk about in terms of like the new God of War game. I think they do such a good job with the sound design. I think the things I didn't like about the original God of War series is that I played Kingdom Hearts and I played Devil May Cry, and those just felt like better games. Sorry to God of War fans. Sorry to OG God of War fans. Those are better action games for me personally. I love the hit sound effects. They felt so much more meaty. That's the big thing I didn't like about OG God of War, like the first 3 games and the PSP games, is like when I hit things, it didn't feel strong. I loved smashing the chaos blades onto the floor because that felt like it was meaty as fuck. But a lot of weapons didn't feel like they did that. Like that's why I like the Hercules weapons in the fucking 3rd game, because when you hit shit, you're like, whoop, just fucking everything explodes. Resident Evil clears God of War. I'll die on that hill. I mean, they're not really the same game. Like one's a survival horror / action game. One's literally a like melee action game, or like, God, what's it? Like the comparison I would strike is like Devil May Cry, Kingdom Hearts, Ninja Gaiden. Those are comparable games to God of War. Maybe even like if we're talking about God of War 2018, maybe even Souls games. But I would not compare Resident Evil to God of War. That's completely different. Those are like completely different fucking games. They're utterly different ballparks. Do you play on hard mode? Hack and slash. Thank you. Hack and slash action games. That's more of a fitting comparison than fucking shooters. Resident Evil like is nothing like God of War. Like they're completely different fucking games. So yeah, like hack and slash action games is like a better comparison to God of War. But I do think like in terms of combat, yeah, a lot of games do clear. Do you play it on hard mode? What like the OG God of War games? I haven't played them in a while. But I don't like. I'll never play one on hard mode. I didn't like playing God of War on hard mode because at least the original games because so much of it felt like I was just I was facing like a fucking bullet sponge, and I despise that. I fucking hate that. I goddamn hate that with the fury of 1,000 suns. I cannot stand when I'm playing a goddamn video game and the way they make the video game harder is by making the thing a fucking bullet sponge. I hate that so much. If you're gonna make it harder, like make the fight harder, like literally more mechanics, more challenge, but don't just make them a fucking bullet sponge. I hate that so goddamn much. And that's what hard mode for God of War felt like. It just like I tried playing one again in hard mode. I'm just like, this fucking sucks. At least I think I did. I don't remember. I just know I did not like playing God of War 1. Especially hated the mashing. I fucking hated the mashing. The stupid insane mashing. I hated it in Metal Gear. I hated it in God of War. I despise mashing where it's just like you have to mash your fucking fingers off. Like I will never fucking like that. I hate mashing so much. It's just not a fun mechanic. I'm so glad it's not in fucking video games anymore. I don't mind QuickTime events. QuickTime events are okay, but mashing is annoying as fuck. Hell, I think the best incorporator of QuickTime events is Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 is easily like the best incorporator of QuickTime events. Fucking fighting Sephiroth, like literally the secret boss Sephiroth, and he starts the fight by literally doing a QuickTime event. And if you miss it, you fucking die. I'm like, that's so cool. He's so fucking cool. Peace Walker mashing was the worst. Dude, I don't even remember that much about Peace Walker. I just remember you couldn't like crawl on the floor, right? Yeah, Peace Walker didn't let you crawl on the floor, right? I could have sworn that was a stupid thing they fucking did. Like, Peace Walker had some really stupid fucking shit. So does that mean you don't like rhythm games in general? What does mashing have to do with rhythm games? That's completely different. I just literally pointed out to you why Expedition 33 creating a rhythm in their parries and their attacks is fucking brilliant because it made it easier for me to play the game if I could learn how to follow a rhythm. I actually love rhythm games. Especially if it's like a good rhythm. I hate stupid mashing where it's like mash your fucking finger off. That shit's stupid. The ending of KH2 key and triangle. Wait, what? What's your issue with the ending of Back to Rent a Girlfriend? Okay, yeah. You're right. We completely strayed off topic. This is not the stream for it. We'll do different streams for these. This is not the stream for it. Okay. Oh, I know. We haven't okay, we haven't finished this. I got to finish this. Let's see. But in reality, Chizuru is trying to face her feelings, so it might actually backfire if Ruka tries. Even though she said she'd be okay with being sick. Oh, that's another thing. What if Umi tells Kazuya Chizuru is like gonna face her feelings for him? And like Ruka hears about them living together. Ruka hears about how Chizuru is gonna face her feelings for Kazuya. Ruka hears from Umi how fucking serious Chizuru has been this entire time. Dude, fucking, like what Umi's gonna say is gonna wreck Ruka. Like I kind of feel it. It's gonna wreck Ruka. She's not gonna have a good fucking day. She's not gonna, and this is all like coming back to the monochrome room. This is all literally coming back to the monochrome room. And the other thing too, I just realized this. Kazuya is cleaning a thing of celebration and excitement, but it's like he can't use it, right? Kazuya is cleaning this thing in almost like he's trying to use this thing, but he literally can't. Isn't that fitting? Like he's using this thing that's used in celebration and excitement, and he literally can't. It's almost like he wants to use this thing and he literally can't. He can just all he can do is clean it. All he can do is wipe it off, just like all he can do is wipe off the blood, or in this case, the cum, from his boxers. Right? The tambourine is a perfect comparison to Kazuya's boxers. He's literally just cleaning it. Right? The last thing you saw Kazuya do was cleaning his boxers. The first thing you see Kazuya do in the very beginning of the year is cleaning a tambourine that he could have been using, right? To like, tap it, get excited, celebrate, have some fun. This thing that's supposed to represent fun, and he's not having fun with it, he's cleaning it. All right? Because it's his job, right? That's what he has to do. And Kazuya is holding on to it the whole time, right? On one hand, Ruka's holding his hand. On the other, he has a tambourine that he can't use. It's almost like Kazuya is trapped. And then he continues cleaning it, and who shows up? Umi. Like a false celebration. It's literally like a false celebration. That like there's nothing to actually celebrate. Okay. That's the problem. Since Kazuya's feelings for Chizuru are genuine, pushing forward without acknowledging that would backfire, or worse, risk him hating her and their relationship hitting rock bottom. Kazuya's always carried, or Ruka's always carried that risk, but now she's got a strong card. Should she act without considering the danger? Right? Should you take action without fucking thinking about it? Ruka-chan also gets stuck overthinking things. Mysterious pickup artist, lol. Working part-time with this hair is refreshing. So Ruka-chan was a demon-only ability user. What form would satisfy everyone, I wonder? Since we're working together, we'll have to see each other whether we like it or not. Huh, oh my god, I just realized. Kazuya running into Ruka because they work together is a mirror to Kazuya going to the same school as Mami, where he has to meet her again. How fitting. He goes, so Mami and Kazuya share driving school. Ruka and Kazuya now share Ruka and Kazuya have always shared the workplace. And these things that are designed to create conflict in some ways actually also create this trap. They're trapped. They have to run into each other. They don't have a choice, right? Whereas when they're in school, they have the freedom to not run into the other person. Now they're trapped. This trap, in some ways, kind of mirrors Chizuru, and I think also mirrors the distance she's letting Kazuya have so he doesn't feel trapped. I think that's a big thing Chizuru was kind of scared of. She's maybe scared. There's a possibility Chizuru is scared that Kazuya felt trapped when he lived with her, where they would always run into each other and he would never have time to himself. So that trap is something Kazuya is seemingly free of now, where he doesn't always have to run into her. She doesn't always have to be around. He doesn't always have to be scared or worried or overthink anything, right? He can just take his time figuring himself out. In contrast, he is now trapped with Ruka and Mami. But he wasn't actually trapped with Chizuru, was he? But he was treating it like he was trapped. Isn't that fascinating? This thing that he shared with Chizuru before that was special and kind of heartwarming and relaxing for us is now something he's sharing with Ruka and Mami, and it's the complete fucking opposite, right? Whereas with Ruka before, you could say like they just worked together, it wasn't a big deal. Now it feels dangerous. Now it actually feels scary, especially considering someone like Umi is going into this space too, right? Umi is getting into this space too now. So Kazuya's workplace is even less safe than it used to be before. Let's see. And since we're working together, we'll still have to see each other whether we like it or not. Totally a reaction after the fact, lol. Is this what being an adult means? Well, if you think about changing the forms too, I guess it's not hard to understand. It wouldn't be Ruka-chan's intention for things to get awkward, mainly Kazuya and the relationship to get rocky. Whoa, someone's coming, lol. It skipped over, but Kazuya and Umi-kun did meet up first, right? Kazuya doesn't seem that surprised, so maybe he kind of knew he was coming? We should know what they talked about when they met, but he visited a part-time job after something happened, so they settled things regarding Chizuru at that meeting, and he's now just trying to be friendly, barging in as a friend. Things aren't settled yet, but he wanted to get closer to Kazuya and decided to crash the workplace as part of investigating what kind of guy Chizuru is attracted to. Those are the two possibilities, I guess. I can't shake the distrust towards Umi-kun, so I keep leaning towards the second scenario. Yeah, I don't think anything has been resolved yet. I agree. I don't think anything with Umi's been resolved yet. Do the thing. Thank you. Ruka-chan should know about Umi-kun from the crowdfunding thing, so I wonder how she'll react. Umi-kun might try to pick her up, lol. I don't think he's interested in kids. I think Umi's just gonna be yeah. That's the thing. We've never seen Umi just like outright try to pick anybody up. Have we actually seen that? We've only seen that once with Chizuru. And it wasn't even like a pickup. It was like they were on a date, not date. That was the idea. But we've never seen Umi actually try to pick anybody up. If anything, you've been told the opposite. You were told that Umi is a very hard catch. He doesn't just go after people. So I don't think so. I don't see Umi picking up Ruka. Or trying to pick up Ruka. Then Ruka-chan might say something weird in response and it'll get complicated. No good. This is only going to turn into a hellish scene, lol. What does karaoke always become the stage for hellish scenes? Preview title, Chizuru-chan. Well, that's definitely Umi-kun's doing. Mentioning the name in front of those two usually doesn't end peacefully, lol. It depends on how much Ruka-chan can control herself in front of Umi-kun. I think she's gonna overhear it. I think the teaser being Chizuru-chan is gonna be Ruka overhearing that, and she's gonna be like, "What? What the hell?" Let's see. So her heart rate's up, and Ruka-chan's at her limit. Even though she says she's okay being second best, she still wants more. Things get awkward at work, but that's not what she intended. And then, unexpectedly, Umi-kun pays a visit. Will Umi-kun drop a bomb, and how will Ruka-chan respond? It feels like a showdown is brewing right after the start of the new year, but let's push through another week. Okay, 3D model. Sumi's letter numbers equal 62, 62 means stable relationship. What? The fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? I literally don't know what the fuck you're talking about. When has 62 doesn't mean a stable relationship, not in Japanese. 6 is a boring number. 6 is considered a boring number. And then I forgot what 2 means. But it has nothing to do with a stable relationship. I don't even know where you got 62 from. Like, where the fuck did you get 62 from? Like, Sumi has like nothing related to 62. Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you, dude. Like, that just sounds like he made, like it feels like he just made some shit up. Do you think Kazuya might ignore Ruka more as he realizes mommy wanted to ask him something rather than realize Ruka might have wanted something from him? Well, Kazuya is already like at a point where he like can't ignore Ruka, and he is. Did you just come into my chat and tell me to ask ChatGPT? Are you fucking serious? Did you just come into my goddamn chat and tell me to ask Chat fucking GBT? That thing is as stupid as a fucking brick. Dude. That thing... okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story at one point. Back when ChatGPT like first started, and I was like moderately curious about it, I was just like, oh yeah, let's try using this thing. And I was trying to research this, the name of this, the ghost thing that the ghost wears in Japanese, where it's like this triangle thing. And it gave me this entire elaborate fucking story. And it was all fucking wrong. Let's not be mean to ChatGPT. AI is garbage, and so is ChatGPT. I don't fucking care how you feel about it. It's fucking stupid, dude. It's literally telling you bullshit. It's literally telling you bullshit. It's wrong. Half the fucking time it's wrong. You have to be like incredibly specific about what you want it to do. And in the end, you're just getting what you put into it. Like the thing is wrong. You said you got this from ChatGPT. I've never heard of this. I've literally never fucking heard of this. And I doubt it knows what the fuck it's talking about. Like, bro, please don't use ChatGPT to try to do analysis or like theory crafting, because it doesn't fucking know. Research that shit yourself and make sure it's actually relevant. Like, then use Google. Okay, but can you tell me where you got the number 62 for Sumi? That has literally never been associated with her. Like, it feels like he made it the fuck up. Where'd you get that number from? It has nothing to do with her birthday. It has nothing to do with like a chapter number, a very particular chapter number or anything. There's no like direct connection to Sumi between the number 6 and 2. So I don't... Do you see why I just like... I've never seen this before. So that's why I'm like insanely confused. And even if there was, it wouldn't mean a stable relationship. Letter numbers? What the fuck are letter numbers? When you add all the letter numbers in Sumi's name, it equals 60. That's some conspiracy level theory crafting, bro. Like, look, the numbers we use for the characters are not like you add their names up, because remember, their names can be spelled in English and in Japanese. And in Japanese, it's probably spelled differently. Sumi's probably like one fucking letter in Japanese. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then in English, it's oh. Bruh. I'm not even trying to be a dick. I'm just like, how? What? Oh my God. I'm just, hey man, you believe what you want to believe. I'ma just not worry about it. I'm just not worry about it. Okay, so we finished reading this. I don't have too much time left because I gotta go to sleep early today. SUM plus I equals 62. That's what? Ooh. Oh yeah, this is the new art they made for that thing. It was so cool. Oh yeah, this art is so cool. Everyone looks so unique and cool. Chizuru is the coolest. As per usual, Chizuru is the fucking coolest. Of course Chizuru is the fucking coolest. Look at this girl. She looks like a goddamn celebrity. She looks like a goddamn celebrity. I like Ruka because she has the ribbon here, but not on her head. And I think she has like a little bit of braid here. Mommy looks pretty cool too. Minnie is surprising. Minnie is surprising. And then Sumi kind of looks like a celebrity trying to keep it under the down low. Sumi is like trying to keep it on the down low. She's like a celebrity keeping it on the down low. This is so cool, especially since Reiji drew it. Oh my god. Wait, is mommy pissed that you're late? She is. She's like, you're fucking late. You're fucking late, dipshit. And she's like pouting. Oh, that's so cute. That's so different. That's so different for mommy. Mommy pouting that you're late. That's actually kind of cute. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, Minnie just doing her usual. Yeah, 15 million. Love sports. Yeah, Ruka has like a little braid here. That's kind of cute. Okay. So let's read maybe like what Varicus wrote. Where's the serious discussion? Fuck. Okay, I'll scroll down, I guess. No, that's the predictions. We're not doing that. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Okay, where is it? Do I have to look it up? I don't want to. This, what the fuck is this? Someone sent this to me on Discord and I'm just like, what the fuck? Those aren't really good comparisons. Okay, there we go. Did you see the serious discussion on Reddit? That's where we're going. That is where we are going. Wait, what? Ruka used the word defenseless here in this panel. Oh. Yeah, she didn't say vulnerable. She said defenseless. I didn't know the guys could get like that. He felt just so defenseless. Yeah. Okay, defenseless makes more sense. Defenseless makes a lot more sense than vulnerable. Okay. Oh, damn, this dude got downvoted. I don't even know how to begin to describe this chapter. It's a writing disaster on every possible level. To the point that the appearance of Umi was by far the best part. Chapter 407 represents a complete and total reset of Kazuya and Ruka's pseudo relationship, as well as Kazuya's character, back to how it was near the beginning. All right. Way to miss the fucking point. All right, let's continue. With Kazuya once again lusting over Ruka. Sometimes reading Reddit makes me lose a little bit of faith. Sometimes reading Reddit makes me lose a little bit of faith in people. Okay. While the horrific event that just occurred are brushed off as cute and endearing gestures on Ruka's part, As a result, it's entirely clear to me at this point that the previous few chapters were only intended to be Ruka fan service chapters, as I had feared. Oh, I think that the date the chapter was released may have been the worst one of six ever experienced in history. At the very least, I know that I'll be thinking of this chapter from now on whenever I think of this particular date. Dude, oh my god, he sounds like the fucking Democrats who are just like never gonna shut up about like, oh my god, it's the anniversary of fucking January 6th. Oh my fucking god, dude. Instead of just like constantly bitching about January 6th, can we actually like fucking do anything? This is like the most pretentious shit I've ever fucking read in my life. I'm sorry. It's so incredibly childish and completely like missing the fucking point. It's literally like I'm gonna look at this picture and that's all I'm gonna see, right? The author must think this is a good thing because he's not very clearly saying it's a bad thing. Hey, I'm just gonna like turn off my brain and just say this is garbage because Kazuya's character is lusting over Ruka. How could he? Dude, he's literally having like emotional confusion. Kazuya is literally going through like emotional confusion. He's literally confused. He's like, what the fuck is happening? He doesn't understand his own feelings. He's having this like weird reaction because he wasn't prepared to actually face Ruka. He's thinking about Chizuru. He's not thinking about this experience he just had with Ruka, and he doesn't know if he should process it positively or negatively. And so his brain picks for him. Yeah, Kazuya is literally like confused and freaked out, and he doesn't know how to talk to her because he never considered actually talking to her. And yet, his reaction makes Ruka feel pissed off because he's not treating her like an adult. They're completely out of sync, right? Ruka is in some ways kind of getting the thing she wanted here, and she thinks she isn't. That's the irony. And Chizuru is just fucking lost and confused. Not Chizuru. Kazuya. I'm getting tired. It's getting late. Okay. I'm not going to keep reading this. Let's see how this... I don't know. There's definitely some concerning signs in this chapter, but I'm not sure I'm ready to say with certainty that the events of 404 have been brushed off. The first half of this chapter is being told through Ruka's perspective and internal monologues, and Ruka herself doesn't think she did anything wrong, so that's going to color how she views things. But we can't necessarily take her opinion at face value, the same way we know how not to put much stock onto Kazuya's various panicked Chizuru hates me now predictions. I'm also stalked on some of the bits of phrasing Ruka used, especially her comment on page 6 about how Kazuya seemed vulnerable. If this scene was intended to romanticize the events of 404 to the readers, this feels like an unusual point for her to call attention to. It's still very possible that you're right and I'm seeing hope and there is none. No, dude, I'm sorry. This person's dead fucking wrong. Thank you for providing the original. I had a bit of suspicion that this would feel a bit softer and gentler to me than vulnerable, but I wouldn't say that it's to the point that there's no room for interpretation there. On the surface, it appears that all is back to normal, but I don't think it is. Ruka's creating her own narrative to justify what she did for her selfish greater good. I would expect that she is immature and won't see herself in the wrong. Oh no, Ruka doesn't know how to process any of this shit. It's not she's not seeing herself in the wrong. She doesn't know how badly she hurt him. She's not aware of any of this. Kazuya's biggest concern is Chizuru, and he's building up trauma and guilt towards that goal. That is how he is currently processing and expressing what happened. I think the biggest indicator that things are changing is the panel below. She barely touches Kazuya. I read that as, "Are we okay?" in which he immediately rejects her. She usually has no problem grabbing him and pressing her chest into his arms, but not this time. I think she subconsciously knows she fucked up and doesn't know if she can touch him anymore. My optimistic is reading. Yeah, that is a big thing. Look at how Ruka grabs him here. It's very light. It's very normal, but it's also, but I think there's a bit of misinterpretation here. This is actually a multi-layered thing. In particular, Ruka grabbing him like this is Ruka trying to act like an adult. Ruka is the one trying to take charge of the situation. She's not checking if they're normal or anything like that. She's trying to make it normal. She's trying to push it back to normal, right? When it isn't. This is why I don't like that read that person had. The chapter is literally framing itself on purpose as back to normal when there's nothing normal and every single thing is wrong. Like, Kazuya feeling this should drive you insane. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're feeling this? Because he shouldn't necessarily be feeling this. He shouldn't react like this. But Kazuya is, as I've explained before, having a clash of desire that he's repressed, in contrast to the trauma that he just experienced. So he's having this confusion that's freaking him out from Ruka, because suddenly he's more aware of her as a girl, and that scares him because Kazuya's sexual desires scare him. So it reverting back to normal is not normal at all. Nothing about this is normal. Everything about this is meant to feel off. That is by design. Hey, it's my phrase. I haven't said the phrase in a while. Okay. Let's see. This is not the worst. So I was right when I said Reiji didn't frame this as sexual assault, but this guy just went too far. No, Reiji absolutely framed this like sexual assault, and he has continued to do so this entire fucking time. Why are people so quick to turn the fucking leaf the moment the narrative they want doesn't match what they're being given? Like, what? I'm gonna read Varicus wrote. I'm a little more curious about Varicus. What's this? Umi's a couple hours early. Yeah, it wouldn't be too surprising. Okay, this person's stuff is interesting. I guess I'll read this. Kazuya's gauntlet continues as he's now flying headlong into this meeting with Umi. We still don't have much concrete knowledge about what Umi wants to say to him, but the Umi Kazuya dynamic is one that I've long found compelling, and I'd love it if my old theory of Umi holds Kazuya in higher esteem than Kazuya realizes were to be vindicated. Hey, someone else! Let's go. On the subject of theories, there's a bit of crackpot predictions that have been bouncing around my head these last couple of weeks. And while I think it's unlikely that it'll actually happen, I want to lay it on the table this week. Because right now, it's probably the closest we're going to get to it feeling plausible. Specifically, what if the first person Kazuya tells about what happened between him and Ruka is Umi? I don't see it. I don't see it. No. That said, there's also one big obvious reason why Kazuya might not want to tell Umi about what happened. Umi may not know most of Kazuya's social circle, but he does know Chizuru. Kazuya is very aware that Umi is also vying for her affection. He's already nervous about Ruka spilling the beans to Chizuru, and the last thing he wants is to give the same information to another person who stands to gain from sabotaging. There's literally no reason for Kazuya to tell him. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I think Kazuya's anxiety around this point is probably sufficient to outweigh it all to positive factors I'd outlined in the last paragraph. There's a reason I didn't read the last paragraph. I'm sorry. It's not happening. Kazuya is not fucking telling Umi. So if the theory is just blah, 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 blah. Anyway, there wasn't much analysis. It was just your theory. Okay, let's read Varicus. Kazuya thought that Ruka might feel like a different person from what happened here. Kazuya thought that about her. Let's start with the first analysis of the new year. Unexpectedly, we start where we left off last chapter. We get to see Ruka's thoughts on the situation. She's looking at a screenshot of her heartbeat monitor app. She must have taken it after Kazuya went into bath. That was the most stimulating situation Ruka has been in so far. Sorry. So she feels like she had to get away. It was getting too much for her. Yeah, it might look like Ruka's objectifying her love and her feelings to just numbers on the screen, but that number is only a symptom of a bigger problem. She attributes everything she feels right now to Kazuya, as you can see when she thinks that this is all thanks to him. The number is proof to her that Kazuya can make her feel alive, and she believes that he is the only one who can do that. That's why she needs him. No matter what, she wonders if reaching 100 would break the curse she feels under. Yeah, the curse of the monochrome room, or the monochrome world. Ruka thinks that Kazuya was cute back there. He felt vulnerable, defenseless. She made him forget about Chizuru for a moment. To be fair, he probably couldn't think at all at that time. But Ruka feels like what she doesn't realize is his brain like fucking shut off. It's not he wasn't thinking about like literally just the idea that he wasn't thinking about Chizuru was enough for her. Not realizing that he literally shut her out completely. He wasn't thinking about anything, not Chizuru. He wasn't even thinking about you. Like that's the thing. That's the thing I think Ruka doesn't consider. She's so focused on he wasn't even thinking about Chizuru that she doesn't realize he wasn't even thinking about her. Like he shut her out, and she doesn't realize that. She thinks she reached him. She actually got shut out. Let's see. But Ruka feels like she actually managed to get his full attention there, which is almost never the case. Except she didn't, right? Kazuya usually doesn't look at her, and he doesn't take her seriously. The fact that she made a change seems positive to her. She's completely unaware of how bad she made Kazuya feel. Again, she is a kid who has not processed what the fuck she just did. So she doesn't know the magnitude of her actions. She doesn't know, like, holy shit, what you just did is horrendous. And Ruka doesn't know that, and that's why like people are like, oh, Reiji is framing this like it's not sexual assault. It is, but it's literally a kid who doesn't know what she just fucking did, and the guy she just did it to is in denial that this just happened to him. That's why nobody's processing this like sexual assault, because nobody is trying to. Everyone's in fucking denial, and the problem is their bodies isn't. Kazuya's body is not in fucking denial. It knows what just fucking happened, but it's having this like clash of sexual desire and guilt. So he's like literally falling the fuck apart. That's why he like falls the fuck apart in front of Ruka. He feels the sexual desire towards her because literally that's what happens with victims sometimes. They feel like a certain sexual desire and they hate themselves for that desire. And they're like, I hate myself for feeling this way. And that's literally Kazuya's entire issue. Kazuya's entire issue is he hates that he feels this way. But he feels it anyway. It's like his body is acting on its own. It's fucking ignoring what he's thinking. That's Kazuya's biggest fear. He cannot control his own body. Kazuya's biggest issue is control. And that is fundamentally rooted in grief, which is literally what all the characters are going through. Chizuru is going through grief over the loss of her family. Kazuya is going through grief over rejection. Ruka is going through grief over the loss of like this entire fucking relationship, and she hasn't fully processed that she's going through grief. Anyways, Kazuya didn't deny that he was still involved with Chizuru. Ruka doesn't know what kind of relationship they have, but she suspects that they are still not together because Chizuru would surely not have ignored her if that was the case. Ruka is right. We have seen chapter 318 that Chizuru feels like she has to confront Ruka and explain herself if she gets together with Kazuya. Kazuya asked Ruka not to tell Chizuru about today. Ruka guesses that even the Iron Lady Chizuru would be shocked to hear how much progress Ruka has made. Giving up on Kazuya is not an option for her, but Ruka thinks she might have a chance if Chizuru gave up. How ironic. How ironic. What if Chizuru gave up? But did Ruka actually say that? I gotta double check. Did Ruka actually say that? Okay. But if I'm lucky, could I really do such a thing, though? He loves Chizuru-chan. He loves Chizuru's son. if I force them to break up, he could end up hating me. Oh yeah, this is the other thing. I wanted to mention this really quick. I don't know if this is a translation error or if it's meant to show something. I don't know if most people recognize this. She says Kazuya-kun here. This should be weird to you. She's using honorifics. In her head, she uses Kazuya-kun. But when she talks to him, she calls him Kazuya without honorifics. I don't know if this is a mistake. I'm not sure if this is a mistake or not. But if we read this that it isn't a mistake, this is interesting because it shows cognitive dissonance. Where when she speaks to him, she doesn't use honorifics. But when she talks to him, but when she says his name in her head, she does use honorifics. It shows like a sense of distance that in her head, he's not actually that close to her. Like in her head, there's still that distance of honorifics. They're not actually that close yet. But when she talks to him, she talks like they're really close when they're not. So there is that element that I find fascinating. Okay. Oop. She doesn't know that Chizuru already tried that. Kazuya might end up hating Ruka though. If she just contacted Chizuru and got her to give up, Ruka would have a harder time if Kazuya hated her. But Chizuru would be out of the way. She contemplates contacting her, but she decides against it. You see Kazuya at work the next day. He can't get yesterday out of his head, and he feels incredibly bad for it. He tries to understand Ruka. She has been his girlfriend for the past year and a half, and she must feel like she's getting left behind. Her friends have apparently already already had experiences, and Ruka is stuck in whatever this is with Kazuya. While there is some truth to that, it doesn't explain why Ruka doesn't just find someone else. She's young and beautiful, and she would have no problem finding a new boyfriend. Kazuya can't know the reason, so he probably thinks that Ruka is just very loyal. This is important. Kazuya doesn't know the reason of the monochrome world and the fucking the heartbeat thing and all that stuff. He doesn't know any of this stuff. So that's the thing that's unspoken. The openly spoken thing to you is that Ruka doesn't know about Chizuru and Kazuya's relationship where they live together. What is not openly spoken to you that is unknown is Kazuya not knowing about Ruka's whole reasoning for being so loyal to him, for wanting to be with him so badly. Right? Kazuya doesn't know this reason, and I think that is something Reiji is secretly like putting in front of you. He's like, this is literally like a secret thing right in front of you that you don't know is actually much more relevant than you realize. And that's definitely, I think, something that's going to totally come back. That Kazuya doesn't know this. There's also a kun in the Japanese version. Yes, I know. I double checked. There is a kun in the Japanese version. Kana joked about it. Remember that post we talked about at the very end of last stream where Kana Hirayama, the character designer for the anime, pointed out how she was calling him Kazuya-kun. And I asked Crumpy, and Crumpy was like, she was like making a joke about that. So yeah, that's a thing that was going on. Let's see. Kazuya thinks that him getting together with Chizuru and Ruka giving up would be for the best, but that is getting rather unlikely. The recent development made a situation a lot more unstable. If Chizuru learned about it, she might reconsider becoming his girlfriend, even if that was currently 100% certain to happen. According to Minnie, that is. Ruka also didn't seem willing to just give up even after he got together with Chizuru. Ruka enters the karaoke place. She's wearing pants, she's not wearing her ribbon, and her clothes also seem more serious. She's trying to emulate Chizuru's maturity. This actually works for Kazuya. It gets his attention. After yesterday, he's also way more aware of Ruka. He sees her differently now. She seems a lot sexier all of a sudden. It's like she's a totally different person, the teaser. Yeah, Ruka acting like... That's the thing. You really got to think about like what triggered Kazuya's reaction here. Maybe it's because she kind of acted like Chizuru, you know? Maybe it's because she kind of acted like Chizuru. Because this reminded me a little bit of Chizuru. Let me see. Like, it reminded me of, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. It reminded me, like, of the thing Chizuru did. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of this. It feels a little bit like Chizuru. There's like a kind of maturity to Ruka here. She's literally emulating Chizuru. And I bet that's what got a reaction out of Kazuya. That Ruka is the one who appears in control, and Kazuya kind of wasn't ready for that, so it threw him off. What? Right? Kazuya starts worrying. It's like you got to really wonder what is triggering Kazuya's reaction here. What is this feeling? It's so strange. She's hardly showing any skin, and yet this makes such a big difference. Why? She looks so seductive. It's kind of sexy. Compared to yesterday, it's as if she's a totally different person. What kind of phenomenon is this? What is happening? Kazuya doesn't understand. Plus, this is super awkward. You're not wearing your ribbon today, huh? I told you, didn't I? I'm all grown up. You did, right. Right, and she's like waiting for him to like react, and he won't like look at her. And she gets pouty about that, not realizing she's actually getting the reaction she wanted. Something doesn't add up. I can't like quite pin down Kazuya's reaction here. Is it just because Ruka changed her clothes? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the clothes aren't what's triggering Kazuya's reaction here. I think that's just like she is trying to look more mature, and maybe that has an influence, but I don't think that's like the sole reason. Kazuya tries to act like nothing happened, and this frustrates Ruka. She can see that she had an effect on Kazuya. She's using a different approach. She keeps Kazuya aware of yesterday by mentioning it, and then she acts like this was normal for their relationship, that it wasn't that big of a deal for her because she's grown up after all, and she will carry on as usual. I don't know what that kind of thing yesterday means to a man, but I'm going to carry on as usual. So she's trying to act normal, but nothing is normal. Okay. Umi enters to talk with Kazuya after this shift. This will be interesting. What next? The user for next time is Chizuru-chan. This is how Umi calls her, so I expect that to come from him. We can assume that we will see Umi and Kazuya talk next chapter, and it will be about Chizuru. I really can't say what Umi's going to tell Kazuya. He can't know the details of Kazuya and Chizuru's relationship, so he must assume that they are quite close. They have been living together after all, and Chizuru told him that they have gotten closer. Umi probably won't assume that Kazuya and Chizuru barely talk right now. From that, I don't think Umi plans to trick Kazuya. He'll probably even assume that Kazuya knows that Umi was rejected. Umi might just want to know that guy he apparently lost to. He might tell him that he loves Chizuru and declares a rivalry because he knows that Chizuru isn't Kazuya's girlfriend yet. I'm curious, though, how Ruka will react. Kazuya having a rival isn't a bad thing for her. If Chizuru found someone else, she might leave Kazuya to her. But it would really shake things up if Ruka reacted to Umi with an elevated heart rate. Oh my god, what? He is Varicus, I'm disappointed. Varicus, I'm disappointed. He's good looking and a charmer after all. Just like Kazuya isn't immune to Ruka's charms, Ruka might not be immune to Umi's. She has never really looked at other guys, but Kazuya interacting with Umi will very naturally turn Ruka's attention to him. I don't expect Ruka-Umi ship here, but if someone other than Kazuya could get her heart to race, this might challenge Ruka's entire worldview. Huh. I'm almost disappointed that he thinks like that could happen. I kind of hope it doesn't. I kind of hope like Umi doesn't actually get a reaction from Ruka. I think that would be so fascinating to not actually get a reaction from Ruka. Ruka certainly has seen Umi because she knows Chizuru had a date with him on the day they handed out the flyers. But as far as I know, they've never met in person. I kind of hope that does not happen. I kind of hope it doesn't. I could see it being interesting. it doesn't click for me, you know? It's like, oh, just because he's hot, my heart rate elevated. That's weird. I've seen hot people before and my heart rate didn't fucking elevate. That's weird. Worst tier is Japanese readers tolerate and defend Ruka, saying that she didn't do anything wrong and since estimate. But you're acting like that's all Japanese readers when it's not. I've clearly seen Japanese readers who are very much against Ruka. You're talking about a lot of them. Yes, there is a lot of them who are like this. They're probably very vocal, but that's not everybody. Like there's a lot of people who actually very much disagree with Ruka and think she did something fucking wrong. I've read a lot of Japanese fans who are like, "Yo, this is kind of fucked up. What the hell?" So, no, it's you're just seeing like a very tinted lens, you know. You're not seeing the whole picture. It's really interesting to see Ruka change her hairstyle right after the event because it marks a clear distinction between innocent and misguided Ruka and selfish and awful Ruka. Reiji clearly doesn't want us to see her in the same way because he's literally drawing her differently. I think you're missing the point because she was drawn differently like this before the arc even started. She is innocent and misguided, but that can also be selfish and awful. That's what makes her human. But to have to happen so soon after Kazuya's hairstyle change is curious. Is the change meant to mark the same event, this arc, a general pivot to the course of the story? Or is it just a big fucking illusion? That these hairs representing some sort of change is all big bullshit. There isn't actually change happening. I'm wondering if Chizuru's going to change her hair, or maybe just bring back the braid from her earlier dates. No, because Chizuru is the only one not actually losing her identity. Chizuru changes her clothes, but she doesn't change her hair. Right? There is a bit of change with Chizuru. We saw her put a pin on her hair for the first time, but no. And we finally get to Umi. A lot has happened in the last week or so. Kazuya obviously not on a stable ground, and Ruka's considering some pretty extreme things to force their sham relationship to continue. It's a very volatile mix, having all three of them at the karaoke place. It's also a ripe opportunity to echo some of the events of the Mami Mizuhara rental date confrontation. Yeah, for sure. I mentioned this too. The karaoke booths provide a sense of privacy, but totally allow someone else to listen in. Is this where Ruka learns that they've been dating? Chizuru is firm enough in her feelings for Kazuya that she needs to formally reject Umi. And finally, we have no idea what Umi's game is right now. Is this the last ditch shot at sabotage? Is it a gentleman's conversation, sort of you won, take care of her sort of thing? No idea at this point. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad people are saying they don't know because that's the truth. We don't fucking know. Yeah, Umi was supposed to meet Kazuya at 9, but it's probably early. So he probably just showed up early. I wouldn't be surprised if the dude just showed up a little early. Like that makes some sense. Eh, Y'all giving Reiji too much pressure by discussing as if he's planning his poor. Oh my god, this guy's a clown. I'm surrounded by idiots. Reggie constantly talks about how much he fucking plans this shit, and everyone's like, he's not planning, he's stupid as fuck. And censors Kabari. Okay. Let's download. Okay, it's getting a little late. I might call it here. I'm not tired, but I definitely need to rest because I got work tomorrow. And I don't want to stay up. Oh, wait, Kana also shared something? What did Kana share? My goat. Oh my god, 85. Whoa, 85. That's a lot of comments. I'm going to move this here just to be safe because I don't know what Twitter is going to post. Okay, seems mostly positive. That's good. Mostly positive. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Mostly positive stuff. This is good. This is good. Okay. Mostly positive. Of course, eventually it'll escape the fucking void and then it'll get infinitely worse because that's Twitter. Twitter is a fucking shit show. You fucking breathe funny and it'll turn into a crapshoot. Okay. Sorry, I just always like to scroll through, double check, see if there's anything interesting. But nothing too crazy. Alrighty. I'm gonna call it here for now. And then I might stream tomorrow. I should be able to. I don't see why not. And we can talk about a little bit more stuff. I might write something on Twitter tomorrow too. So I'll probably end up reading that in some way, shape, or form. So thank you guys for tuning in to our second stream of the year. I hope this was fun and interesting. I guess updates on things I've been doing. Saving up money. I need to God, there's so many fucking bills. There's so many goddamn bills. I've just completely stopped buying stuff for myself at all. I'm just saving up money for bills and shit like that. I'm going through my backlog a little bit of games I already own. I stopped playing 14 for my own health. That game needed to be put on a fucking break. It is just a grind. It fucking sucks. I've been kind of mostly like work to bed because I'm still kind of recovering. So when I'm home and in bed, I've been playing Expedition 33. I finished it. Now I'm just doing post game stuff. But I also need breaks sometimes, so I go and play Kingdom Hearts instead because Kingdom Hearts is a lot more light and fun. Well, Expedition 33 is like depressing as fuck. I've been watching some Expedition 33 videos because the analysis for that stuff is so good. It's juicy. It's so good. I'm hopefully gonna play Silent Hill F soon. I don't know when I should start streaming Kingdom Hearts because I do want to start streaming Kingdom Hearts, but I don't know when I should start. I don't know when would be a good time to actually play the game. Nor do I know how to because I don't own it on PC. I own it on console, and I haven't set up my consoles yet to like link to my PC. So I'm not sure how I would even do that. I know how I could do it through PC, but I have no clue how to do it the other way because I used to have a setup for it, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't work anymore. Ooh. Maybe I can save up. So we won't start just yet streaming video games. Maybe I can like save up and then purchase it on PC when it's on sale or something. So that way I can get it like a little bit cheap, and then we can start playing Kingdom Hearts. That way you guys get like a fresh experience with me because I've never played it on PC. I've played it on literally everything else. I played it on PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. God, I literally the amount of hours I've put into Kingdom Hearts would like make fucking would make like my hours into Final Fantasy 14 look like a fucking joke. I have played so much goddamn Kingdom Hearts. Oh yeah, don't forget the PSP, the DS, the 3DS. Oh my god. Anywho, yeah, that's kind of it. I'll probably stream again tomorrow to discuss a little more about the chapter. I might do like a proper written analysis, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, we're already pretty close to the next chapter. It's already getting really close. You acknowledge how great of a masterpiece Expedition is now that you finished it. I already told you it was good. I already said it was good. I think I told you guys like when I first fucking played it, it made me cry within the first 30 minutes. Like the opening scene with the gommage, like that shit made me fucking tear up. I still tear up watching it. It's really fucking good. I never said it was a bad game. I just disagreed on it like winning like certain things. And the thing that I didn't like was that it was literally just overshadowing every other fucking video game, which I don't think is right. That was the thing I didn't like. I didn't like all that other stuff. And I'm still like feeling like the aspect of like I haven't finished this game yet, so I can't fully 100% agree on that. But so I can't say this for 100% certain, but I still feel like Silent Hill F's narrative is better. Now I have to finish Silent Hill F to be like 100% certain of this fact. But from what I've seen and experienced, there are aspects of it that I enjoy more. However, I am holding Expedition 33's narrative on a slightly higher scale now, because of how like it's so vast and there's so much to it, to like everything from like the fucking enemies that you fight to the worlds that you see to the characters that you interact with. It's a very layered game, but it is also really depressing. It is really fucking depressing. Like like Expedition 33 is a really depressing fucking game. Like after Act 1, I needed a fucking break. After Act 1, I needed a fucking break. I was just like, okay, this is a lot. This is a lot to deal with. Yeah, I think the best way I can describe Expedition 33 is that its theme is almost art. It's the story revolves around grief. It revolves itself around grief, but to me, the narrative through line is art. It is a story that fundamentally leverages art as its theme. But how people use art in their grief and their sadness. And so it's literally like almost like a tug of war between like what art is and what grief is, and how art influences grief. It's a really fascinating story. But it is a lot. It is a lot. Now I'm gonna decide like for sure once I finish Silent Hill F which narrative I prefer more. I'm gonna decide afterwards which narrative I prefer more of Verso. Verso was my favorite character, but so is Gustav. Verso is my favorite character, but so is Gustav. I like Verso because he is such a complex and fascinating character, but at the same time, he kind of dug his own grave. He kind of like did this to himself. He could have chosen a different path, and he kind of did this to himself. That's the irony of Expedition 33. You think Mael and or Alicia are like literally they're the ones who did this to themselves. They can't choose a different path. Verso is literally the same fucking way. Literally, there is no good ending in Expedition 33. All, the characters are literally the fucking same. They're literally doing the same thing to themselves and to each other. And he knows it. He knows he's a fucking hypocrite. I think he even says it. He literally says like, I'm a hypocrite. Naturally, I chose the Verso thing. Naturally, I chose the Verso thing. But I did see the second one, and I'm just like, okay. I see what they were cooking. And I was so happy when I like looked it up and the director literally said there is no good ending. I'm like, yes, I was fucking right. There is no good ending. This just fucking sucks for everybody. This just fucking sucks for everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna call it here. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you guys another time. I gotta call it. I gotta get ready for tomorrow, and we'll come back tomorrow and do some more fun streaming shenanigans. See you tomorrow. Have a good night. Get some rest. Take care.